Drew Gulak pulled from WWE TV amid misconduct allegations. Plus, Raw and SmackDown stars make appearances on NXT. And an NXT star has confirmed their main roster call-up. It's all in the Cultaholic wrestling news right now. Last night on NXT, we saw an appearance by the No Quarter Catch crew, but with a very obvious absence from it.
Yes, we saw them chatting backstage. Charlie Dempsey referenced his match at Bloodsport, but yes, as you've noted, there was only 3 members: Charlie Dempsey, Damon Kemp, and Miles Bourne. Drew Gulak has been presented as the leader of the group recently, since its inception, really. So it might have been strange to unfamiliar viewers about the ongoing situation as to why he wasn't there.
And not only was he not there in person, but when the No Quarter Catch crew came out later on, his name has been removed from their entrance video, which suggests to me that this is possibly a long-term absence from the group for Drew Gulak.
Yeah, this comes obviously a week after Ronda Rousey accused Drew Gulak of misconduct backstage in a story that involved Drew allegedly pulling on Ronda Rousey's, the drawstring of her sweatpants. Gulak responded to the incident on Twitter a few days later, saying that it was merely a mishap that saw him accidentally touch the drawstring while going in for a handshake. But it's prompted this whole discussion about the workstage environment, the culture backstage at WWE over the years, obviously, which has already been a big talking point since the whole Vince McMahon allegations and this idea of maybe a shifting or improving culture in WWE. So it's all part of that, and we've now seen it kind of manifested on screen with the apparent removal of Gulak from his own group.
We'll keep an eye on that one for you at cultaholic.com. Meanwhile, last night on NXT, we saw Obafemi addressing the crowd after that banger of a North American title triple threat at Stand and Deliver.
I've seen it on our Twitch stream that me and Ross did our reactions to, and also maybe on Twitter. It's been christened Call the Police 2, because obviously
Police Boogaloo.
Yes, Gunther, Sheamus and Drew at WrestleMania last year was Call the Police 1, thanks to Titus O'Neil's excellent call on commentary. This was Call the Police number 2, yeah.
Oh, no, the Police Academy were in fine form during that match, but a new challenger emerged in the form of Raw's own Ivar from the Viking Raiders in cash attire.
Yeah, he turned up in a t-shirt and jeans. There was a bit of a Western sort of looking waistcoat thing he was wearing. But yeah, it was like it was non-uniform day.
It was like it was non-uniform day. And he said that he watched Call the Police too and said it's the kind of fight that he is into. And he threw down a challenge for Obafemi and the North American title. Obafemi started to leave, and then Ivar made the mistake of putting his hand on his belt.
And then they started scuffling. Oh, they were scuffling.
Oh, there was a scuffle, and Ivar came out on top of the scuffle with a springboard crossbody. I was nervous for him for a couple of seconds because he was wearing jeans, and he was a big lad about to do a springboard, and you can tell there was a little moment where he went, "It's going to work in these jeans. We'll find out together."
It did.
Nailed it.
It worked.
Fantastic.
Not only did he come out on top in the scuffle, but the WWE social media team have really made a big deal of the fact they've been tweeting things like, Ivar's done what no one has done before, left Obafemi laying in the ring. So we'll have to see where this goes. I suspect it'll lead to a really good match.
It could, I think it no doubt will. It comes after several weeks of praise backstage for Ivar. Since Eric was sidelined indefinitely, he's been going alone as a solo guy. And there's a lot of love for Ivar in the way that he moves and the way that he works.
Yeah, he's been having great matches with members of Alpha Academy, for example, just other big lads on Raw. And he's just been really consistent for a couple of months now. I wonder what this all means for our good friend and colleague Matthew of Botchamania. Because every week on the podcast, for some reason, whenever Ivar gets mentioned, he reads my notes, but he just adds his own bit and he goes, Otis then challenged Ivar the Viking. Now, Ivar the Viking. But now, Ivar might not be. What's he going to say this week?
Ivar the casual man.
I guess so. We'll have to find out what Matthew says. He's a maverick. Tune into the podcast to find out.
And you guys are going to have a long boy this week, aren't you? I have a funny feeling in my waters you might break a record yourself this week.
Yeah, and Ross and Matthew want to drink during it, and I just don't know.
Yeah!
I don't know if I've got it in me.
You can do it. Speaking of Call the Police too, we send our best wishes to Josh Briggs, apparently suffering 2 cracked ribs during that match. We'll wish for a full and speedy recovery for Josh Briggs, because he looked great in there against Dijak and Obafemi.
Yeah, they all did. They all put in an absolutely top class effort, and it was just such a fun match. If you've not seen it, I think we would both highly recommend it.
Big plans for the NXT title over the next couple of weeks coming out of Stand and Deliver. What's going down there? It's spring break-in.
So obviously at Stand and Deliver, Trick Williams in the main event defeated Carmelo Hayes. And then on this week's NXT, he declared that he wanted another shot at Ilya Dragunov's NXT title. Now, Dragunov initially said no. He refused to grant Trick's wish, but did eventually agree to the match under one condition. If he loses, Trick has to leave NXT.
Dun, dun, dun.
And this match has been set up in the week. It's been revealed that Dragunov will be eligible for the draft at the end of the month. So given the stipulation that if Trick loses, he has to leave, and given this revelation that Dragunov is eligible for the draft, all signs do seem to point to Dragunov dropping the belt to Trick Williams. However, on the other hand, sometimes NXT like to throw a bit of a swerve in the mix, so we'll have to wait and see what happens.
He's in AEW. They won't do that now.
Well, a swerve, yeah, of course. Yeah, they can't use him this time.
Not this time, they can't. Yeah, it's certainly it's an interesting situation. I think Trick Williams as an NXT champion, I think feels quite nice.
Yes, absolutely.
Certainly does. Ilya Dragunov's had a hell of a reign as champ, and I'm buzzing that he's about to get a big push on the main roster. But before we get to that match, Trick Williams has one more run around with Carmelo Hayes, throwing a steel cage match on NXT next week.
This could also act as a bit of a farewell for Hayes, who also could be primed to be called up to the main roster as well. So Trick could just be running through everybody, like the Grim Reaper of NXT.
It's just Trick left there.
Yeah.
It's just me now. I'm just going to fight myself for 7 months. We had new champions crowned on NXT last night. We're talking of absences and exoduses from NXT. Another one last night at the end of the show as well.
Yeah, it was a rematch from the opener of the main portion of the Stand and Deliver card, which the weekend saw the Wolf Dogs beat Axiom and Nathan Fraser. But last night on NXT, the challengers got their revenge, defeating Bron Breakker and Baron Corbin to become the new NXT Tag Team Champions. The finish came as a result of a miscalculation that saw Bron run into Corbin, which led to Corbin taking a Phoenix Splash and getting pinned to lose the belts. But the new champions only had a few seconds to celebrate with the titles because they were attacked by the Final Testament from the main roster.
That's SmackDown. What are they doing here? Akam and Razor flattening the new champs with a super collider and holding the belts aloft to end the show.
Yeah, but that wasn't all, because there was a nice little bit away from the cameras after NXT went off air as well, with Bron Breakker and Baron Corbin addressing the crowd, Corbin thanking the crowd and Bron Breakker thanking him as well, before saying that Bron was headed off to SmackDown and would become WWE World Heavyweight Champion one day.
Breakker thanked the fans himself and thanked Baron Corbin for being a friend. Went down the road and back again. Thanks for all the support from NXT 2.0. It very much, he kind of said, this isn't goodbye, this is smell you later. And it's not, it doesn't feel like the full stop of the Wolf Dogs, but it certainly feels like they're going separate ways now. It feels like Baron Corbin is staying in NXT and Bron Breakker is heading to SmackDown.
It certainly does feel that way. And if that's the case, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because the Wolf Dogs have had a really entertaining run. And it's not one of those tag teams, because when that miscommunication happened, I thought, oh no, now they're going to have a feud. And I don't want to see those two feud, because they've got a very good chemistry together. And it's one of those tag teams where it would be nice to kind of, if they're breaking up, to kind of leave it there so they can always come together in the future if they need
It's something they can find themselves once more as and when needed. And not surprised that Bron's getting the main roster call up.
Oh no,
it was a given. And in terms of what Baron Corbin said, future world champion, yeah, I can. But is it funny how Roman losing the belt has all of a sudden really opened the playing field?
It's like everyone's you can win the belt from the champion. Oh, okay, fair enough.
So suddenly that bit of conversation, that little line in there, I went, oh, okay, actually, that could be a thing that we see sooner rather than later. One to keep an eye on. For the latest wrestling news throughout the day, you can check out Cultaholic.com. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.